It's now time for Energy Insights, where you get an inside view and local perspectives of all the oil and gas progress going on in the Mid-Ohio Valley. This program is being brought to you by the Southeastern Ohio Oil and Gas Association and can be heard every Saturday at 9 a.m. on local radio WMOA AM 1490 and ESPN radio WJAW FM 100.9 and AM 630. It's now time for the show. Here's Johnny Wharf, your local host.
Energy Insights on a Saturday morning with Representative David McKinley, a Congressman, 1st District, West Virginia, and thank you for being on Energy Insights with us. Talk a little bit first about the Shale Crescent in our area and in your area is just taken off, and some of the things on the Hill that you think might help spur the growth of this.
I think it's imperative we move ahead with this. We've seen discussion over numbers of years, ever since we discovered this, the private sector discovered this and has been tapping into it, but primarily is how do we keep the product in our valley, so we have value added. It's so easy for us to put in a pipeline and ship it down to Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma, where they can process it there, but the impact could be huge if we keep it in our valley. So we work with Perry, Secretary of Energy Perry. He came up to talk about it. So we've had I've had a roundtable discussion with him. We've had a forum conversation with people in WVU to be able to host this, to continue to promote it. He was on board with it. I understand Dan Brulette, his replacement over at Department of Energy, is equally interested in it. So I think something's going to happen with having more focus, particularly a petrochemical complex, are going to be up in our Appalachian area.
Yeah, and to that, you think about these companies that are willing to invest multi-billions of dollars into our area. Talk a little bit about what that could mean, obviously, for your state.
Obviously, jobs. It comes down to jobs. But it's institutionally transformational. Think about how we've been so dependent on fossil fuels, coal particularly, along eastern Ohio and West Virginia, northern West Virginia, and southern West Virginia. All of a sudden now we're switching to a different product. We have to make some changes. But fundamentally, one of the issues we're fighting for is pipeline permitting, because we're not going to be able to establish this as a transformational change, a diversification of our economy, if we can't make changes to the pipelines. And we're seeing around the country how states are cleverly trying to twist the Constitution to allow them to ban pipelines. We saw it with Enzi out in the state of Washington. He's preventing train loads of coal crossing his state. He's preventing that from happening. We've seen it in New York with Cuomo preventing a gas pipeline to go up to the Northeast. We saw it with the governor of Maryland that prevented a pipeline being built from Pennsylvania across Maryland to West Virginia, only a 3-mile stretch, but he banned that. So this whole idea of a complex of a petrochemical could all come to halt if we can't get control through the court system and our environmentalists to be able to prevent that from happening. Because that restraint of trade, states shouldn't be able to prevent us from transporting our product. Because otherwise, in West Virginia, we could be isolated if we can't ship our products someplace else.
West Virginia Congressman David McKinley, our guest here on Energy Insights. Coal was once, king in West Virginia, but the war on coal obviously ravaged the economy. And now, how does the oil and gas play into maybe bringing that back?
Well, it can improve the overall economy. By the jobs it creates and the income that it's going to generate, the tax revenue from going to switching over to gas. But I haven't given up on coal. I'm chairman of the Coal Caucus. What I'm seeing is not only maybe there's going to be a diminishment of use of coal in America, which is short-sighted, because if we want to be energy dominant, we need to have that as a fuel source. But the rest of the world still has a voracious appetite for coal. So the very least of which, that's why, again, we need to prevent states from using their Commerce Clause to prevent us from being able to ship our coal to Virginia, to Baltimore, to the West Coast, someplace where other countries are needing it. China is just underbarking right now. They're going to build 154 gigawatts of coal-fired power plants. That's essentially the equivalent of about 154 coal-fired power plants, whether they're nuclear, gas, whatever. That's a lot of plants, and they're going to do that within 5 years. Also, to put it in context, within those 5 years, they're going to build now these 154 gigawatts of power. That's the total equivalent of all the power plants in the European Union. Their economy is still expanding. Their population is growing. They need electricity. And they don't have gas, so they want coal. So we need to be able to have a capability of being able to export that to them, and that's one of our primary missions here, is to remove some of the restrictions on being able to export our coal to easily be able to get that to the market, so that we can be able to supply that around the world. But as importantly with that, I think one of the missions we can lead in West Virginia, North Central and Appalachian area, is how we can burn our fossil fuels cleaner. Because that seems to be the basis of the number of people that are pushing back against fossil fuels.
Sure.
We don't have a good commercialization of carbon capture yet. Let's do that. Let's show that mantle of leadership, not only in America but to the world, how we can burn our coal and our natural gas in a cleaner fashion. That makes sense?
It absolutely does. And the program's called Energy Insights. Our idea is to get smarter every day. You helped us do that today, and we thank you for your time.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Hope we can do it again.
Thank you for listening to Energy Insights, brought to you by the Southeastern Ohio Oil and Gas Association. Tune in every Saturday at 9 a.m. on WMOA and ESPN Radio WJAW as Johnny Wolf brings you your local and inside perspectives of the oil and gas progress going on in the Mid-Ohio Valley.